Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. We're gonna have a little content creation chit chat today. I put up a Q&A box in my IG stories the other day, and as expected, most of the questions were content creation related. So we're gonna keep it real cool, chill, casual today as I try to go through as many questions as I possibly can. All right, let's get into it. Okay, first question, how do you edit your videos? Okay, pretty complex question that I can't really answer in a span of a couple of minutes. So I think I'm going to do a dedicated video on my full editing workflow. But in short, I edit all of my videos in Premiere Pro. So that's these YouTube videos as well as my short form content. It's all edited in Premiere Pro, but I'll definitely go and do a full editing video. I get this question a lot, so I'll definitely do like a walkthrough of my editing workflow. Okay, the next question is, how do I create a faceless account? So I've seen these accounts pop up pretty frequently over the last couple of months. I'm not sure if this is like a new trend or something like that, but I think it's just as simple as that, creating an account, creating content without your face. Now, I think that if you're gonna do it, you have to be super intentional about the value that you're providing, because I think a huge part of social media is that personal aspect. So if you're going to do one of these accounts, I think you have to be super strategic in the value that you are providing and making sure that whatever your niche is, whatever your audience is, that it's super value packed. So that would be my answer. Can I just hire you to create my content? Do you have photo shoot packages? Yes and yes. So you can hire me to create your content, and I do offer photo shoot and video packages. I primarily work with other content creators and business owners. So if that's something that you're interested in, if you're in the New York area, if that's something that you're interested in, you can visit my website. I do offer those services and we can create some magic together. Hi Jessica, what's your camera settings? Contrast, saturation, sharpness, and color tone. Okay, so let me just quickly run down my camera settings. I get this question a lot. And I actually did a video that just fully explains what my go-to camera settings are. And I did that over on Instagram and TikTok, but let me just do a quick run through here. I do want to give a disclaimer that it's super important to know that your camera settings will and should change depending on your environment, your lighting situation, or the certain look and feel that you're going for your video. So they'll change. They shouldn't always remain the same. Don't just like copy and paste someone's settings into your own settings, because again, the situation is always going to be different. But here are my go-tos. So I always shoot in manual mode, always. It just gives you the most flexibility over all of the other options that you have. So I always shoot in manual mode. As far as like the contrast and saturation, now I shoot in a log profile. C-Log 3 is the profile that I shoot in. I know that you do have options. Most cameras have options to choose like, or make adjustments to like the contrast and saturation and all of that in camera. I don't change that. I shoot with the profile C-Log 3. So that is what I'm currently shooting on. For frame rate, I shoot everything in 24 frames per second, unless I intentionally want to slow that footage down. In that case, I'll shoot either 30, 60, or 120 frames per second, and then slow the footage back down to 24 frames per second, depending on the feel that I'm going for. But the base is 24 frames per second. So these YouTube videos, unless they're slow motion, it's always 24 frames per second. My shutter speed is always double my frame rate. So in most cases, that's gonna be 1/50. My aperture, I tend to shoot wide open, or as wide as my lens will allow. And in this case, I'm shooting 1.4. And then my last go-to setting is my ISO, which I'm typically shooting at ISO 100. I typically don't touch that unless I'm like in need of more light, and then I will slowly increase my ISO from there. But that's pretty much it. How do I pitch? I don't know how to find brands. Okay, so I've been recently talking about working with brands over on social media. And this is a common question for people, especially when you're first starting out. I would say the best way to go about this is identifying the brands and the products that you use every single day. So let's say you are a lifestyle creator. What are the beauty products that you're using every single day? What are the food products and the food brands that you're using every single day? Like literally go into your cabinets, go into your draws, go into, just take a look at what you're using every single day and start there first. Now, I'm a huge coffee drinker, so let's say you are too, and there's a certain brand of coffee that you drink every single day. Well, I would put that brand of coffee on the list, but then I would also find 10 other coffee brands that you would be open to working with, and put those on the list too. And I would say if you have not already started posting about those things organically, start posting about those things organically. Start tagging the brands, because this is the way that you get those brands to notice you and that you build those relationships with these brands. So I would say that is like your first line of defense. If you're a person who's like showing your breakfast every morning and you're using this certain brand of creamer every day, tag the creamer in your stories. Like literally tag the brand in your stories and start that conversation between you and the brand. Because when it's time for you to go in for your pitch, if you're not able to find an email contact, I don't see anything wrong with going ahead and sending that brand a DM saying like, hey, like I've been talking about you for months. Like, is there somebody at so that I can reach out to, because I'd love to start working with you guys. I'd love to create some content for you guys. Is there email contact that you can direct me to? Like, that's how I would say start off. If you're not able to find like a direct email contact on your own, don't hesitate to send that brand a DM and see if you can get a contact that way. But I would say that would be a great place to start. How do you organize your files? Okay, so after I finish shooting this video, I'm going to take my memory card and transfer all of the files onto my hard drive, onto my computer, right? I actually get this question more often than I thought people had, but I don't just keep buying memory cards. I take all of the information, all of the files off my memory cards and put them onto my hard drive and store them on my hard drive, which is managed on my computer. So on my hard drive, I separate by short form video. So Instagram / TikTok / YouTube / if I have like client files and all of that, that's also separated. But like, let's just say YouTube. So I have a YouTube folder. After I click in that YouTube folder, I separate by year, which is then separated by month, by date, and then by project. So if today is Monday and I'm shooting 3 different videos, I have the date listed, but then also they're separated by individual projects. And then within those projects, if I have any assets, any music, so if I'm doing like words or text on the screen, and any files that are incorporated within that project are also separated by folder there as well. It's just super important for me to keep stuff organized, especially like when I'm working with brands. And when I'm doing organic content, I tend not to go back to those videos, but especially when I'm working with brand, doing sponsored content, if I ever have to make adjustments or anything like that to a video and I can't find those original files, it's like a hot mess. So I just like to keep stuff organized, whether it's digital or in real life. So that's the way that I sort of like organize my files. It may not be the best system, but it works for me. How do you find a niche? Honestly, I don't want one. However, that seems like the only way. So, I don't know. Okay, so I'm of the philosophy that your niche is you, right? So you can talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about. I do think it's super important that you understand your why. Like, why are you showing up to social media? Why are you creating content to begin with? What is the reason you are here? But then creating your content and filtering it through the lens of that why. So if you're a lifestyle creator, that's fine, but that's also very general. It's like figuring out what is the overall story that you were telling here. Someone's coming to your page for the first time. Why would one person you follow you over the other, right? Like, what is that overall story that you're trying to tell? If you look at your content as a whole, what is the story that you're trying to tell. So I would say that that's more important than having like a specific niche. I guess, again, that would be considered a niche, right? Lifestyle would be considered a niche. So in my personal opinion, I think it's totally fine for you not to niche down like super specific, unless you have like a product or you're, you know, a business owner or something like that. But I do think it's important for you to understand your why, because that's going to help you understand how to create content, what type of content to create. You're not just creating random things that just don't tie into that one story. Oh, I like this question. Okay, how do you stay inspired with fresh ideas? Okay, so I think your first action is getting off social media. I know that the first instinct might be to scroll through social media to find social media ideas, but personally, I think that you're just gonna find the same ideas over and over and over again. It's not often that you're gonna find fresh ideas scrolling through Instagram and TikTok. So personally, how I find fresh ideas, and I struggle with it too, I get off social media. If you are consuming more than you're creating, it's going to be very hard for your mind to sort of even try to come up with ideas on its own. So I would say that would be the first thing, is like shut it down for a while or decrease your usage on social and find inspiration in other ways. So I find inspiration a lot through listening to podcasts, from listening to music. Music for me is like life for real. And sometimes I'll just like sit and vibe out, and whether it's through the melodies of the song, whether it's through the words of the song, just the feel of the song, that really helps me come up with ideas, or reading books or watching movies. Like those are ways outside of social media that help me come up with fresh ideas. So maybe try those. What's needed to create content besides an iPhone? Okay, so you've got your device, either your phone or a camera, whatever you're choosing, we've got that down. I would say that's kind of all you need really to start, is just that. But if you want to take it a little bit further, if you're filming yourself, I'd say you need a tripod, right? Something to put that phone or camera on so that it's not just like propped up somewhere. You need light, whether that's natural lighting or some type of external setup. You need something so that your videos, so that you can be seen. And then you need an idea. What are you actually creating? We can go down the rabbit hole of the things that we want and the things that we can buy and things that might help us and blah, 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 blah. But I think that's all you really like need to get started. What's the best settings for Canon? I found my pictures aren't clear. All right, so we already talked about like what I'm using as far as like camera settings, but I think that one of the biggest issues when it comes to clarity for most people, they don't even realize, is your lighting. If your lighting is not on point, your videos are not going to be clear, your photos are not going to be clear. So I would just say pay attention to your lighting. If you're shooting indoors, make sure that you're shooting next to a light, a window preferably, not just like overhead lights like that tungsten yellow lighting. Shoot as close to a window as possible, or go outside. I would say if you don't have external lighting, shooting next to, right up against the window is going to improve your clarity significantly. So I would say start there. Which camera do you use? So I am shooting currently on my Canon R5, which I shoot most of my content on, and if I'm vlogging, sometimes I will use my Sony ZV-E10. Do you create content part-time or full-time? And if full-time, how long have you been doing it? I am full-time. I've been full-time for about 3.5 years now. I started part-time working a full-time job, and I was working my way to eventually being full-time one day. And then during the pandemic, I got laid off from my job and decided to risk it all and go full-time, and been full-time ever since. How do you determine how much to charge a brand? Okay, this could be like a whole video all on its own, like your rates, how to charge brands, it's a whole thing. If I could simplify this answer, I would say first start with some like market research, right? Take a look at a few creators that are around, your peers, right? Talk to a couple of your peers to see what they're charging, just to sort of get a base rate for like what people around your following are charging. If you have, let's say you have 10,000 followers, talk to a couple other creators around that range to see how much they are charging brands for those particular deliverables. So for example, if you have 10,000 followers and the brand is asking you for one reel, ask your peers, what are they charging a brand for one reel, right? Now you have to keep in mind a couple of different things, like how long have these people been creating content? What is their skill level like? All of those things I think matter, right? What do their engagements look like compared to yours? So if you have higher or lower engagement compared to these peers, I'd say, charge accordingly. So I would say that's like the first step of like figuring out where your base number should be. Then I would also talk to people that are a little bit further ahead than you are. I remember when I was first starting out, I invested in some coaching. So I had a coach kind of help me navigate like, hey, like, are my rates too low? Am I like, in the ballpark that I should be in? Like, what were you charging when you were around my stage? That I felt like was super, super helpful. And not that everyone is going to have those answers, but I think it would be helpful in sort of guiding you and helping you tailor and find those numbers. Someone who has like a little bit more experience than you, I think it's super helpful in just helping you hone into what your number should be. Then I would say take a look at what deliverables this brand is specifically asking you for and all of the things that come along with it. If a brand is asking you to create a reel for them, are they also asking you for usage rights? Are they asking you to whitelist your content, which means they're putting paid advertising dollars behind your content to push it out to, in essence, make them more money? These are some things that are detailed in your contract, or that you even want to ask right up front when you're talking to the brand, when you're negotiating with the brand, so that you have a better idea of what exactly you're handing over to the brand, so that you can have a better understanding of what it is that you should charge. I know there's like a lot of moving pieces when it comes to like how you should charge a brand and how to negotiate, and I know that we can't really fully get into it in like this Q&A, but it's definitely something that I want to cover in the future. How do I go about finding management? I need help in landing more deals. Okay. So I think it's super important that before you go out and feel the need to look for management, that you have something to manage. And I know you've probably heard this before, but it's so true, right? So management, in my experience, is not solely designed to get you more deals. I think that they're more designed to help you manage what is already operating on your plate. Now, I do think that they can be beneficial in bringing more relationships to the table, depending on your management company and, the effectiveness of your management team. But I think that you should already be in that flow of like landing deals consistently before you bring on someone else. That's just my personal opinion. Also, they do take a percentage of whatever it is what is the biggest brand deal you've gotten? Okay. To date, I would say 18K. Looking to increase that this year for sure. One tip for beginner content creators. All right, so my biggest tip I would say is practice, and then practice some more. Get into the habit of picking up your camera or your phone or whatever it is that you're using and creating content. Pick it up every single day. Get in the habit of recording your daily routines and just really getting better. That's the only way that you're gonna get better, is by continually doing it. Try new things, try shooting at new angles, try shooting at different times of the day, try shooting in different locations, try removing something that you use all the time and seeing how you can maneuver without it, Try a new editing software, try a different form of editing. Just continue to create new things consistently and you will get better from there. How do you turn a gifted campaign into a paid campaign? Okay, so I think this all goes into how you respond and communicate with the brand. Let's just say the brand reaches out saying they would love to send you their new product in exchange for some stories or an IG reel. I would first start out by being super gracious, saying thank you so much for reaching out. I would love to try this, new perfume. But at the time, I am prioritizing paid collaboration. What is the brand's budget for these deliverables? And see what they say from there. They respond back saying, I'm sorry, unfortunately, we're only doing gifted exchanges. Then you can decide whether or not you want to accept the product. I would usually say, okay, happy to receive it with no requirements of posting. That's just not where I'm at right now. Or that may open up the conversation for something later down the line, or maybe they do have a budget for that campaign, and just by you asking, maybe they say, okay, well, what is your rate? We're a little tight right now, but what is your rate? So I would always say, if they're reaching out to you for something that is gifted, always ask them what their budget is. This will tell the brand, this will tell the agency that, hey, this is a creator that is looking to be paid for their work, as I believe everyone should, but at least they would know that if they're reaching out to you again, that this is where you stand. Okay, last question for today. How do you balance motherhood and work? Okay, so I don't. I'm currently in a season of trying to figure it out. If for those of you guys who don't know, I am a new mom to a 4-month-old, and I'm still in the process of figuring it all out. Some days, some weeks are a little bit easier than others, and some weeks I feel like it's just completely impossible. But what I will say is the biggest thing that has helped me is planning in advance. Now, I've always been a planner type. I've always been the type to not just like kind of do things off the fly and plan things out, but I would say more than ever, planning is like crucial for me. And when I say planning, I mean if I'm coming into a shoot day to create content, that I have all my ideas ready and lined up so that the moment that I have that opportunity to shoot, that I press record, and that I'm not then trying to figure out exactly what it is that I want to shoot. Before the baby was here, I had that freedom, right? I could say like, you know what, I just feel like creating content right now. Like, let me figure out what it is that I want to create. But because the time now is so limited or my time blocks are so limited, I have to go into the day, into that time block, knowing exactly what it is that I'm going to shoot. So I would say that would be my biggest tip for someone who is, for the moms out there that are balances, especially moms with, newborns or really small little ones, and trying to figure out how to like get it all done. I tell you, I am not getting it all done. I am still figuring it out. Me and my husband are still like figuring out systems and figuring out, just a way that I'm able to still get as much as I can get done. It gets very frustrating at times, if I'm quite honest, and just wanting to sort of like keep up that same momentum that I had before having the baby. But I'm also in that mindset of understanding that I'm in a new season now, and my little one, he is my first priority. But this is still my job, and I still have to work. So what is helping me is just creating systems. Having an editorial calendar is something that I'm really trying to stick to and to go by, because it will help me be able to get all of the things that I need to get done. I'm not at the place where I have outside help yet, and our families are not really that close by, so we're kind of just like managing it on our own. It's either I'm watching the baby or he's watching the baby. So really planning and making sure that like, okay, when it's time to work, you know exactly what you're getting done in that time frame. And then I would also say, like, I've had to readjust my expectations and understanding that, look, like before the baby, I may have been able to produce this amount per week or this amount per day, and now my days, what I'm able to produce looks like this, and learning to be okay with that. It is a season, it is an adjustment, it is a new chapter that I am navigating. So I will say, if you are in that space, you are not alone if you're still navigating it. I am still navigating. I'm only four months in, and I'm still navigating it, but those are some of the things that has helped me. There's a couple more questions, but I think it's best to just answer those videos specifically, like in an actual video, so I'm not just like rushing through it. But this was so much fun. I really like doing Q&As. It's just like real chill, and I always like giving my perspective on different topics. So we'll be sure to do this again. If you are not already subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. Let me know if you like this sort of format, this like just very chill, down to earth, laid back feel. And let me know if you want me to do like more Q&As, because I'll be happy to do them. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.